Day 34, how I was conned out of over $2 million. So if you've been listening to the story all along, you'll know that I'm hundreds of thousands of dollars in. I think at this point I'm like $750,000 in. I'm not even sure. When I go back and look at the numbers on paper, because yes, I do have it tracked, written down. There was one month in the summer that I had given her, I think it was $60,000. The next month it was 100,000. The next month it was 220,000. That was a big month. A month after that it was 70,000. So I was constantly pulling money out. I had emptied my 401k. I was emptying out my husband's 401k. Like I said, I had already borrowed money from my mother. I had, borrowed the money out of my daughter's college fund. I had borrowed against credit cards, and then I took a home equity loan out of my house. My house was paid off. I had, paid my house off, or, we had paid our house off after 19 years. And I think I had said that before. And if people are wondering, like everybody's like, oh, I don't even have $2 million. How did you get $2 million? Whatever. I'm not rich. I've never been rich. I've worked for everything. I literally came from basically zero, from nothing. Okay. I don't have rich parents. My dad died and, left me a little money. I think there was about $40,000 left when it was done. Now I did purchase my dad's acreage from him and I made a little money on that. However, the money that I made on that, she got her hands on that as well. Obviously, anything I inherited. So, the funny part is, and I know people are going to think this is crazy, I'm not an idiot, right? I know people probably go, oh my God, this chick is the dumbest person on earth, because I feel that way. She must not have been good with money. She obviously just believes anything. That is not the case. Again, I was best friends with this person for 7 long years before she had ever asked me to borrow a dime. And I still to this day cannot believe that this has actually gone on. But my degree is in finance, with an emphasis in accounting. That's why I have an accounting of all these numbers. And I was good with money. I knew where to put it, as far as the retirement went and how to save. Didn't buy, fancy house, just built the small house that we live in still. Didn't buy new cars. Like I've had 2 new cars in my life. One was when I graduated from high school because I needed it to drive back and forth to college, because I had to commute about 30 minutes to go to college. The next one was like 4 years after that because I thought, well, I can make a car payment, but if something major happens, I can't come up with, a few thousands of dollars to fix something. So I just saved money, and we put all our money away and didn't go crazy, went on small vacations, did small things. So that's how I had the money, or how we had the money. And that's, because Steph was my friend and I told her about all this, and, we had just talked about everything. She knew it. So that's how she got her hands on it. But I don't want you to all think that I'm like a moron or that I don't know anything about money, because obviously I had the money for her to steal. But anyway, I'll go more into that in day 35. Thanks. Have a great day. Have a great night.